How to make a phone intro transition such as this. The first thing I did was text myself on my number. I then took screenshots of the messages I wanted to include. I then opened Videostar and masked out each text bubble, and I animated it so the messages would pop up on the screen. Here is how I animated the text messages. I wanted to give off the effect of the text popping up the screen, so I used a mid-graph for this. I then had to mask the top so it makes people believe the messages were real. I then repeated the same steps for each of the separate messages. To make things quicker, sped this up in a time lapse. Make sure when it comes to animating separate messages that you start the transition when the last one ended. Your texts will look better if you use a mid-graph, so I highly recommend it. Now it's time to animate the phone. You want to go to the Videostar 3D objects and download the first one. You then want to use the new video you created of the text screen with the messages popping up. You need to apply this mask to it. You then need to go to the keyframes on your second layer and make it smaller than the phone so it sits right in place. For me, it is 60 for 65ths. Then click the 3D option. Then if you used a background, go to that layer and make the depth -100. We do this so when it comes to animating the phone layer won't go behind the first. Then create a null layer and select your 3D model and the video you created, leaving the background out. I then zoomed it out and used the flip rotation. You can do this however you want, it doesn't matter. I then decided when I wanted my video to zoom in, and I dragged the size back to 100 and made the rotation at 0 degrees. I used a mid-graph for this too so it would look smoother. As you can see, it looks pretty smooth so far, but you can't seem to see the text message as well, so I added extra animations to it. I decided to add an extra null layer, and I used the flip rotations so I could make the phone move when each message came through. It's pretty hard to explain, so watch closely. If you want your phone to look more animated, use the X rotation, which is the one with the up and down symbol. As you can see, I'm putting my phone on both so it's slightly rotated both ways. As you can see, I'm adding different animations for each message by making the phone move. Make sure you're using mid-graphs. You can even go the extra mile and zoom the clips and more per message or moving its position. I went for zooming it on more for the last message. Just make sure you aren't forgetting to add the mid-graphs for each rotation you make and size changes. As you can see, our transition looks really smooth. I obviously decided to go the extra mile and also animate the background so it isn't still. You can watch me closely for how to do this, but it's the same thing as before when we did it with the phone. Now when it comes to the background, you will see the green background start showing, but don't panic, we'll show you how to fix this once the basic animation is done. Okay, and now we fix the background. So you want to go to your background layer and basically just zoom in the video and mirror it. It's honestly really easy. When I did this, I realized I had zoomed it in way too far, so I quickly went back and fixed this. And that is our phone intro transition completed. Let me know what future tutorials you would like to see.